Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all. Thank you very much for being here. We really, really appreciate it. And we are so excited to have Michael come back and speak to us. As you know, as the Nest Egg Builder, we empower people to build their wealth consistently by passively investing in commercial real estate. And I just thought this was very appropriate for Michael. It's develop opportunity. This is out of our Choose Happy book. Develop opportunity, add value. When written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of two characters. One represents danger and the other represents opportunity. And that's John F. Kennedy.
Right.
Because when you're traveling all around the world, there are all kinds of dangers and all kinds of opportunities, wouldn't you say so?
Definitely.
Definitely. So today we have attorney Michael R. Polin. He's a renowned United States and international business, real estate, entertainment attorney, and entrepreneur investor with over 35 years of experience in investor representation, business dealings, project negotiations, and oversees due diligence business transactions. Good. With a
Yep.
focus on education and training from an expert viewpoint, Attorney Polin has advised and consulted many clients with international aspirations and goals and been one of the most sought after keynote speakers in the United States, China, Latin America, and Europe. The international law firm of Michael R. Polin has acted in the capacity of chief legal counsel, trial attorney, executive management CEO, business and financial consultant, deal maker, investor, distributor, and entertainment producer. Attorney Poland's company brands include the teachmeacademy.com and his newest company in launch of buyinginternationalrealestate.com, which is dedicated to success in the one genre for all types of investors. As a legal professional and seasoned international attorney, Michael understands the importance of compliance with international real estate regulations and works closely with the clients to ensure they are managing their assets legally, effectively, and most importantly, with maximum due diligence. Yes, they are dedicated to providing the highest level of service to their clients and working to help them succeed in the international markets. I loved that we have Michael here. He's a great person and he's just about to go off to Portugal. I hope you like
Yes, I am.
wine. So
Yep.
Michael, take it away. I'm gonna post these two companies that you're working with in the chat so everybody can
Sure.
download them and connect with you if they would like.
No
So
problem.
take it away.
Well, that's such a interesting, thorough introduction. I think that the key part there is that for those of us that like real estate and we like investing in real estate, um, I always liked investing in international real estate. I think primarily because I had the opportunity. And so, I traveled a lot. I had an international law firm, which I retired from 2 years ago. So I'm not taking on new law clients, per se. But I'll bang out some smaller stuff. But I did run an international law firm for 35 years. So I had offices in, 15 countries. I litigated cases in at least 15 countries. And the entire time I was doing that travel, I always thought in my 40s, I will be 65 in 2 weeks. But in my 40s, I started thinking about retirement. And I started thinking about, what is the best way to really accomplish that? And you can't rely upon our parents or that generation, as wonderful as that is. It's not our generation. They're the older baby boomers, the younger baby boomers. But even in my 40s, and I was thinking, there's really two ways you can have a masterful retirement. And my wife is an MBA, and she's a really smart woman too. So we were always thinking the same. But I always knew there's really two ways. And one would be passive income, and the other one would be publishing. So they both are going to have passive income. At the time, I wrote a lot in my earlier years. I wrote on international business. I haven't, the company you referred to, the teachmeacademy.com, I have 107 courses in there. I created all of them. Okay. Most of them international business, from contracts to trust to, developing relationship with judges. It's understanding different cultures. I spent a lot of time on that. But when I was saying when I was younger, I knew that that's where retirement would look like to me. And so I started buying properties. And for the most part, because I was young, I had daughters, I had young kids, I was traveling. It was mostly for business, but I would always break it off and spend time looking at or for investor friends of mine, that had some serious money that were looking about how could they buy things outside of the United States. And so I got good at it. And I developed a lot of relationships in many countries that makes me probably the most unique person that's ever done something like this because you can't be successful at this unless you understand the cultures and the governments of the other side of the planet. I can show you a great house in Portugal. If you don't understand what the government policies are, you're going to sink. Okay, I give you lots of examples of this stuff. I was in China for 30 years. 30. Okay, so I had offices all over there. I went to 57 states. I mean, I was very involved in China, but I stopped that about 8 years ago. But, I'm kind of making the point that when I was younger, I realized there were real opportunities out there, but you had to figure them out. And in order to do that, the most important thing, and I emphasize this 24/7, is due diligence. Because, it doesn't matter if you're a lawyer or you're any other kind of business person. If you don't do your due diligence on whatever you're going to put your money in, you're a fool. Because you need to know what your upsides, your downsides are. You have to analyze the balance and the risk. You must do it. Okay. I have a skill set in it, but I had plenty of losses. I mean, especially China. I mean, we lost millions of dollars. I mean, with lots of investors, millions. But on the other hand, we made a lot more because you have to know what you're doing. Okay. And the reality is you got to fall down. And we do. And it's happened. I don't do it anymore. Okay. But back in those days, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And that's really true in international business. But I got pretty good at it. I represented some huge companies. And I also represented a fair amount of small businesses. So I kind of know both spectrums of that. But I decided when I was younger, I'm going to just buy real estate and I'm going to find the right managers and do what I call in the trenches due diligence. And the end of the trenches is I'll give you a really easy example. If you want to go buy a house in Belize, okay, who's the realtor? What are you looking at? What are the real estate laws? Do you need lawyers? What do they do? What do notaries do? How do they advertise properties? How do you pay salespeople? How do you transfer a deed? This is all normal stuff to me. But 99.9% of people on the planet don't know what I just said because they have a concept, but they don't know any way to do it, the how, the why, the where. I'm good at it. Okay, that's just an easy example. I that's the big part of the due diligence. That's due diligence. It's core. So what I decided to do, leading up, I'll bring you very current. What I decided to do, the academy, Teaching Academy is already set up. And again, that's back to my focal point on passive income. I made those videos. I made those workbooks. I made that product, those CDs, those DVDs. I did all that. I did the same thing with another company of mine called Teach Me China. I did that too. Um, but after that was all created, I'm kind of done. I mean, then just go on my site and buy what I'm selling. And if you want me as a consultant, then great, we do that. Well, I took the same philosophy to real estate. And so 2 years ago, I decided, when I grow up, what I really wanted to do was be an educator on buying international real estate. And it's just no one does it. There's nothing. I mean, if I give you a really good example, if you actually went into YouTube and you looked up moving to Portugal or moving to Venezuela, or moving to Belize, if you look that up, you're going to find lots of cool videos. You see lots of people having fun and drinking beer and wine on the beach, etc. That's all cool. I like all of that. Okay. But that's not me. I'm about education. I'm about due diligence. I'm about let's go buy something and make sure you're protected. That's what I'm about. Then we'll go make the videos of us hanging out at the beach drinking margaritas. But up until that point, I got to protect you. Okay. I got to show you how to do this. You won't find any education in YouTube, very little.
Mhm.
And so it's not in an encompassing way. Okay. I decided to make an encompassing presentation. And what's the best way to do that? I decided 2 years ago I was going to make a mastermind program. Didn't know how big it was going to be, but I knew I had a lot of knowledge. I knew I had a lot of skill sets. It took me 2 years. I just finished it 3 weeks ago. It's now live. I have a mastermind program that has my 35 years of experience, 2 years of development, 18 hours of video content, over 200 topics, 10 complete modules. It's huge. You can actually go onto my site. I've got about 4 free videos on there that are really, really cool. Okay. It shows you what we're doing. So that's my brand new mastermind program. I'm literally going live October 1st. So you're catching me at the launch of a new company. So this is kind of cool for you guys because you're really the first ones that I'm showing this to. I'm talking about it. I've kept it very closed lid because the reality is I'll give you, I wanted to protect it because I knew I was leaving in September. I didn't want to be gone when things started happening. But I did I have a marketing team. We did a test market of about 500 cold emails. Cold. You don't know me. I don't know you, but I know you're a business person. And those cold emails said something just like this. Hey, Peggy, I know you run a financial services business. I don't know if you ever thought about it, but have you ever thought about moving overseas or buying any real estate overseas? If this interests you at all, click below. We're happy to send you out free information. That's it. There was nothing else in the email. I didn't even sign it. It wasn't my name. Okay, my marketing guys did this. 394 responses within 72 hours. I knew I was sitting on something gargantuan. I already thought that. And I've been thinking that for years because nobody does what I do. And the demand of people to look at something outside of the standard, typical stocks and bonds and crypto world, that demand, especially for age group of 45 to 75, that world is huge. They're looking for something. People, when you watch my videos, to be honest with you, I'll scare you. And that's my intention. I'm trying to make you watch those and go, whoa, Mike's right. These banks are collapsing. JP Morgan did lose $14 billion. Bank of America did close 2,000 banks. This is real. I just took it the quotes right off the journal, right off the business world. I popped them out there and showed you. I said, you want to deal with this? Go deal with that. I'm not doing that. I'm getting you out of that. So my entire presentation is showing you this is the world we're in right now. It's not just politics. It's just governments. It's just, when people talk about, they say stupid stuff about, oh, I think if you take the IRAs, and I mean, Obama wanted to do that, and it got vetoed. He never got that far, but he wanted to do it. He wanted to take it, and as other politicians have done, Biden's talking about it even now. Take your IRA, give you a 5% coupon on it. No, I'll invest my own money. Thank you very much. Okay. But these guys, these politicians talk like that. When you go on, when you see some of my videos and you see I'm quoting them, you're seeing that stuff. You're like, wait a second. I didn't know JP Morgan lost that much money. I, I didn't know that, 36,000 people at Bank of America can't find their accounts. They don't know where they are. I didn't know. How did that happen? I don't know. It happened and it's still happening. Those kinds of fears. I felt I'm going to give people another way, an alternative. You say, if I want to check out, where am I going? What am I doing? How am I doing it? I'm that guy. So I created a mastermind program that's exactly that. I've got over 200 topics in there, and it's big. And I go over countries all the time. What are they doing? One of the big things I always tell investors is don't be married to a particular property until you understand who the spouse is on the other side. And who's the spouse? The government. So you got to be really smart about things like this. How are you going to do it? I mean, I'm doing it, so I can give you all my experience and stuff. But I have local people in every country I deal with, everyone. I mean, so I don't drop, I don't say good luck to you. I'll take you down there. You want to go to Panama? Let's go. Here's 20 properties for sale. Let's go out there and look at them together. I charge a fee to take you out there. You can do it on your own. You can use my people. I don't care, but you'd be crazy to do that because I'll take your hand and show you exactly how to do things. But that's like the end of my program. You got to take the mastermind program first, and then we get to where you want to travel or what country you're interested in. Okay, but I really felt like the U.S. investors have lack education. They don't know what I'm saying. There's a visceral reaction when you watch my videos. There's a visceral reaction where you say, "Whoa, this is really happening. This is really bad stuff. What we got to fix this. How are we going to do that?" I give you solutions. And once you have the solution, then okay, you got to open your mind a little bit or do what I call, which is recalibrating your thinking process. That's what I'm really good at. Is I was that way as a trial lawyer. I dealt with juries for 25 years, and so I had to really deal with I think my thought in their head. I mean, it's always hard for a trial lawyer to do that, but I was good at it. I mean, so I felt like if I could in my companies, if I can get you to think like me, you can be successful. Doesn't work for everybody, but for the most part, it does. I mean, because I make you look in the mirror and say, what is it you want? What You're 50 years old. What are you doing the next 30 years? You're 60 years old. What are you doing the next 30 years? Your parents lived to be 100. You're going to live a long time. Healthy, not healthy. What are you doing? I mean, so I make you really think about your future and then I give you a solution to it. And it does that. And the beautiful thing about international real estate is this. You don't have to be some MBA scholar. You don't have to be a world traveler. You don't even have to be a college graduate. What you have to be is smart enough to look in the mirror and trust your own judgment. It's why I don't use financial advisors. Nothing wrong with them. I'm sure there's a lot of good ones out there, but do they know more than me? I doubt it. And are they going to churn my account to make money on me? Yeah, they are. Okay, I'd rather win or lose on my own. And so one of the ways you're going to win is if you pick the right kind of real estate and you have the right guidance going into the purchase of that real estate. And the beauty of this is that most people, before I started going down this path, even I thought what I'm going to say, oh, you need millions of dollars to go do that. I thought that way until I started doing it. And I realized, no, you don't. 2 to 5, 2 to 6, 3 to 6, that world, you can buy a really nice property in Panama, Belize, Ecuador, Costa Rica, nice properties. Okay. And you'll be happy with them. So then you just got to, like I said, you got to look at the policies of the government, understand where they are and where they're going. Give you a really easy point on this is Portugal was really famous for what they called the Golden Visa. Some of you might have heard of that before. The Golden Visa was a really good program for Portugal. Put 250 down into real estate, and you basically got a permanent visa. There was a process. It was 6 months, and 6 months, and it was like 2 years, but it was forever. And what happened was a lot of Americans did it in the last 15 years. A lot of Americans and Europeans. And they usurped all the lower end properties and turned them all into Airbnbs. So I'm getting on a plane Sunday. I'm going there, but there's been huge resistance. And the new president came in, I think, a year and a half ago, gutted it. There's no more Portugal Golden Visa. Get rid of it. The backlash from the people was just too high because the local Portuguese people were like, hey, I used to go to Algarve in the summer for 2 weeks and spend $300 by family. Now it's $3,000 by family. They don't get that kind of money. And that's entirely because Americans bought a lot of those properties, Airbnb them, and the rents all went up. I mean, that's the downside of things like that in a small country like Portugal. because in that kind of a location, you start getting high rents, people want to live there. So it's not even like, one of the questions you have to decide as an international investor is this: Am I buying the property because I want to move there? Okay, that's kind of different, right? Because that's a beautiful thing. I did that for Panama. I did that for Belize, other countries that I'm very involved with. Or am I buying the property strictly to rent it out? So then the ROI becomes your primary conversation point with the dollar amount you're going to spend, right? There's a third category. The third category is the one that I always encourage investors to fully evaluate it. And that's this: buy it so you can use it when you want. So you can literally check out of America whenever you want and rent it when you're not there. That's that's the best of the three categories, in my opinion. Okay, I mean, if you need money, if it's like that, you got to have at least 5% ROI on that. Okay, well, you got to evaluate that, or 10%. You got to evaluate it. But if that's not the priority, right, and you can enjoy it, and I would say I'm just going to be 65. If For me, I want to be able to take my wife and go enjoy the properties. That's the idea in retirement to me. Doesn't mean you might not rent it out parts of the year, but I want to use it. And that's why you also the top rule always going to be buy something that you like. People think that's kind of an easy thing. Yeah, Peggy knows this. I mean, people think that's an easy thing to say, but actually it's not. Okay, because people will just buy something as an investment online, and the problem with that is you get costs associated with that and expenses you didn't foresee. And part of you goes, oh, I didn't know the air conditioner was going to go out, which has happened to me 10 times in Panama and Belize. I learned, but it's okay. It's part of the gig. It's an expense. I know that going in. And when you sit with me, I tell you these things. Look at the expenses, look at what they're going to be. And some people look at me like, oh, you mean I have to replace an air conditioner every 2 years in Panama? It's like, yeah, you do. The humidity waste them. On the other hand, I bought a really expensive one. I've had it now 6 years. Okay, I spent an extra $500. Okay, but that's experience telling you that stuff. So I created this company, and I'm happy to share that information with you guys. And um, I'm gonna be doing a lot of different events. And unfortunately, Peggy and I we had some miscommunication. As for today, I was probably my fault also. But I was going to give you links to sites I'm going to be on. Any events I'm doing. I'll get back to you, Peggy, on that, and I'll send a link to you, and then you can send it out to your database, to your group, and they can come. And I'm sure that we'll get them discounts if they want to go to the events. I'm in San Diego, by the way, so most of my stuff I do is in Southern California. Peggy and I are like almost neighbors. Okay, but I was born and raised in LA, Peggy. So I was born and raised in Brentwood. So I know LA real well. I went to high school and grammar school there. But I think for purposes of today, that's what I wanted to share with everybody, and just kind of tell you what I'm about, what I'm doing, and I think I can help you guys. If this thing interests you. And then the final piece I wanted to share with you guys, and I think this is really cool, and I'm definitely going to help Peggy with this. I created a affiliate program.
Mm.
Let me just share with you guys what it means, okay? Because some of you might be experienced or familiar, but I don't think the way I'm doing it, you are. Okay, so normally affiliate programs are, and again, I'm launching the company first week of October. So we're just starting this, okay? You're at the front end of it, okay? So I like you guys. Peggy, you kind of have an honor. You're at the very beginning. I mean, I was going to put you off into October or November when you're asking me to come on. I said, no, I'm gonna let you come in early because that way, if we can work some business out here, let's do it. I'm happy because I've worked with you before. I'd like to help you guys and your team. But let me just explain to you, take 2 minutes and explain typical affiliate programs will work like this. You have a website, maybe not. You might not have a website, okay? But you could take Nest Egg Builder just for a good example. And then Peggy would have an affiliate linkage. And that would mean that if Peggy was selling something, then when person would click onto that affiliate linkage, let's just say it went to my site, right? When they click onto that, then it would go back to you. So you, Peggy, would know that my guys went to your site and they bought what you were selling. Then you and I have a linkage in our emails called cookies, linkage. So I know, and then whatever our financial relationship is, you're accountable to me. Okay. That's typical affiliates, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to stay kind of true to that. I'm going to go big though. I'm going to go bigger because I have some pretty big companies asking me to do this right now. I mean, I'm talking about companies with millions of database relationships. So that they want to get access to what I'm doing. And so what I would say to you, Peggy, and to the group on the phone right now, on the Zoom right now, is this. I would be happy to give you an affiliate link that's just for you. Okay. And that would mean that if you took, and we have an email, very simple, one sentence. I told Peggy before you guys got on, it's a very simple email I put together. If you want to send that out to your database and say, hey, you ever thought about buying property overseas? You ever thought about living overseas? If that ever interested you or you're interested now, here, click below. We have free information. That's it. Nothing else. That's the email. And we can keep it under your name if you want. Put it under my company name. It doesn't matter. You get paid either way. And then that once that goes out and they click below, that comes into my database.
Mhm.
So because I have a cookie, whether it's David or it's Ted, say that comes in, I know it came from you guys. And we have an affiliate compensation and relationship. Anybody comes to my programs, buy my product, you're paid. The system pays you. I don't even have to do anything once I put all your banking information in. So I'm going to offer that to you guys. And so if anybody's interested in that, the end of this, send me an email, let me know, and I'm happy to send you out the affiliate link. And then when I tell you what I need from you, which is nothing, it's email and your banking information, basically. Where do you want your money to go? And I'm happy to work with you guys because Peggy invited me in here, and I think there's a lot of money to be made. My mastermind program, by the way, is just under $20,000. My private consultation is just under 15, and then I have fees to take you to a country. Okay, but you guys would all participate in the mastermind program, whoever came in from you guys. So I want to share that with you. And then if that interests anybody, just let me know, let Peggy know, and I'll get something out to you guys. So I think that's pretty good, Peggy.
Gee,
Pretty good overview of what we're doing. And
it
open it up. You
is.
guys want to chat? Let's chat.
Yeah, well, I had a couple questions out of this. Most of it's out of curiosity, and of course, then there's the government. Uh, one, everybody here, most everybody here is a real estate investor, so they know that you have expenses. Not only do you have expenses, you have reserves, so that you don't have to put into your pot pull money out of your pocket because you have the reserves in the account to pay for whatever that may
Yep.
be. And you need to know how
Hopefully.
much does the air conditioner cost. If it's going to cost you whatever every 2 years, you need to make sure you've got that money in your reserves taking out
Right.
of your. That's why you need to make sure about what kind of income you're actually going to receive. You're an NOI. How much money do you want out of that if you're going to be in single family?
Right.
Now we're in the commercial world, so but most people always go into single family first. Why? I have no idea. Okay, so I'm just curious about China. What didn't you know? Would that be part of the government? What you didn't know?
Okay. While
Because
you're asking me that
I
question, hang
bring
on.
up China because I think probably the way China does things is a little different than probably European countries, but I could be incorrect about that because I've never done anything outside the country.
Okay, can I show you something funny?
Sure.
Here, this will answer your question. Can you see it?
International, oh, interactive workbook. Oh, that'll
Can you see
explain
that?
it all. Yes, interactive workbook. Oh my God.
Took me
Is
10
that
years
what's
to
going to put
create
us through the mastermind?
it. It's not, but I did a China mastermind. I did.
You did.
Did. I have 12 videos on it. I could show that to you guys if you're in there. I should if you're interested. It's deep. I answer you that question very easily, what you said, but I will tell you the one thing. Okay, here's the one thing about China that you don't know, but this applies really to Europe also. It just depends on the country. You're going to have assumptions about government behavior that are rooted wrongly in your assumptions about our governments. So, easy example. You assume because we have, I'm also an intellectual property lawyer. Okay, so you assume that with IP, you have certain protections that came from the Hague Convention, that came from U.S. decisions, etc. It doesn't exist in China. I've got 100 stories on this, at least, of copyright infringement stuff. And it's not that the people on the ground actually intended to infringe. They don't know any better. They really didn't know any better, the Chinese businesses. Why? There's no law. There was no law saying you couldn't do things. There was no government that told them not to do things like that. An assumption that, the government would tell their citizens, don't do this stuff. It's illegal everywhere in the world, but they didn't. And so Michael Jordan and Starbucks and Coca-Cola and Microsoft, they all had giant copyright and trademark lawsuits in China, big ones. And I was part of some of that. Um, I would say that's the biggest thing for me is don't make assumptions about other government policies. Like if you would have assumed that Portugal would never change that visa policy because they were making a lot of money. First of all, we had to pay to get it, first of all. And second of all, once you're there, you're paying their taxes. They're happy. But the people weren't happy. And
Yeah.
so you weren't ready for that. And that's happened in the Philippines too. I can tell you countries where that stuff doesn't happen, and that's like Singapore, New
Mhm.
Zealand. These governments are rock solid, and they're not going to let things go on at all. It's just some countries like that, and other countries you kind of go, well, is that guy really the president? Did that guy really win that election? And then you have other countries where look at the small. I happen to really like Latin and Central America. Those are biggies for me. I love those countries because they're up and coming, a lot of them. And a lot of them had, communism or bad ties to other countries in the past and don't have them anymore. Like Colombia, it's a great country, they got certainly their history. Okay. But, Pablo Escobar died and it's like the streets are fairly tame. Okay. People aren't getting murdered in the streets anymore like they used to with the cartel. Um, I was asking Mark earlier about Mexico. Mexico's a problem to me. I was just there, that cartel is everywhere. So that concerns me, Mexico. If I'm buying real estate, that concerns me
Mhm.
because you have to, and the government policy there is hands off. So
Mhm.
you buy the property there and somebody steals it. It's like, is the government going to protect you? Somebody burns it down or somebody gets harmed on your property. Are they going to help you? I don't think so. Okay. I mean, so that's because they're scared of the cartel like everybody else is, right? So those are things that you think about.
They allow
But that's
kidnapping too.
what we do. And that's all part of due diligence, Peggy, right? That's what we're
Uh-huh.
talking about.
So is there a difference between uh sounds more like people are looking at single families. What about commercial? Is there a difference between the way commercial works in foreign countries as opposed to a single family? Are the
Yeah,
laws different
yeah,
or
there is. There is, but are you really talking about building right now? Okay,
building?
construction. Yeah, because single
Oh,
family, like a single family could already be built, but you also could build your own. Okay, that would be a comparison you're making to construction built in a building, or you're going to go build it, right? So, which one of those were of interest to you?
well, usually
Which one?
well, if somebody were interested in starting their own business in a foreign country, they might want an already built commercial property.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and I would
if
say
you
that I would go ahead.
and if you want to build, you've got to know a lot about what's going on in the economy before you start building. You've got to really understand which way the economy's going and the population and what's happening with that and incomes, and it's a lot of work.
Excellent points. And back to my focus. and the government policies on that construction.
Right.
Because let me give you a great example. Okay, there's a city, a really cool city in Belize, San Pedro. That's where I hang out there, my wife and I. And there's another area there called Secret Beach.
Hmm.
It's not so secret anymore because it's so beautiful, and all the tourists go there. But it was about 10 years ago. There was like nothing there. I mean, just a few restaurants and stuff, not much. But I was reading and I'm involved, right? So I know all the realtors out there, those guys. I was looking, they're going to start building this place up. I can tell. And one guy went out and bought, I think he bought 100 lots at a half acres each. I think that's what he did. I
Hmm.
thought, I don't know if that's smart or not but this is about 8 years ago. So in hindsight, it was smart. He's made a lot of money selling it, but here's the problem. There's no infrastructure built out there. So there's a couple hotels, but there's no water infrastructure, electricity grid infrastructure that you would say, "Oh, I'm going to go build 10 homes here." It's like, or a building there. I mean, that worries me if I'm going to invest in an area and the infrastructure is not built out and the government is telling you, "Oh yeah, we'll get right on that." Yeah, maybe in 15 years. I mean, in the meantime, you're sitting on it. I mean, those kinds of construction projects worry me because I know the area is beautiful. I got it. I see huge value in Secret Beach, but it's been 10 years that they really haven't built much there. And it's primarily because the government doesn't have the money to go pour it in to build that infrastructure out. Now, you could have a rich guy that comes out there and says, I'll pay for it, but I want to own the land. Well, that guy I told you a moment ago, he bought like 100 half-acre plots. You got to go deal with him now to go
Hmm.
build your Hilton hotel, to go build your five-star resort out there. And there are some that are kind of in construction, but not really. I mean, really, people would much rather be in other parts of Belize. But that's just a good example of you need to know government policies and you need to know infrastructure availability before you build anything anywhere.
Isn't there sustainability where you could build and be self-sustainable?
Are you a comedian?
No, but
That
this is the way the world's supposedly going.
doesn't. The grids don't exist like that. Electrical grids, they don't exist like that. They got to create them.
Oh,
Someone's going to pay for that.
you can't just
The
put solar
underground,
on your roof. You can't
start
build a house
creating.
and put solar on the roof and have water on the roof that heats up.
In Belize, you could for sure, and they do it for housing, but not for big constructions at the ocean. That won't last for long. No, it's temporary.
Hmm.
It's not sustainable. Some
Okay.
countries it is, but it's not there.
Anybody have any questions for Michael? He's got this interesting background. Has anybody thought about ever buying or building in another country? Fred, you've been around the world. Do you ever look at when you go on a trip? Does anybody look while they're traveling at looking at real estate about acquiring some, seeing what they could find out? Yes, Fred.
So I was curious, Michael, when you look at different opportunities around the world, do you have kind of a typical or a range of time for due diligence based on the country or the region?
That's a great question. Really, not a lot of people ask me that question, but I talk a lot about it in my program. Yeah, because that depends on my depth of familiarity with that country or that city, right? So I've got a lot of history, a lot of countries, but they all got different, cities. I could tell you a lot about maybe the top four cities in Switzerland, but in Germany. But there might be some that I don't know, right? And then I got to go figure out because I'm sitting with you and you ask me that kind of a question, and I'd say, well, take me 60 days to get back to you until I can really do a due diligence conversation with you because I'm not that aware of this city in Germany. But I'll get aware, and I got the guys to do it. But I would say I'm going to tell you 30 to 60 days for due diligence on anything you're asking me about. Yeah, because then you have to decide. I mean, because then I get back to you, I do a due diligence plan with you, right? And then you look at that and say, okay, this interests you. Now you want to proceed with this. Now we're going to the next phase, getting you out there.
So is it your recommendation, or do you normally approach it from the standpoint of decide on a country or a region first, and then once you've made that decision, develop a plan for due diligence, and then once you have that plan, then you start looking for specific deals? How does it usually work?
That's a really good question also. Okay, this is how it works. You have to take my mastermind program because I go over 200 topics. I mean, and they're all about due diligence. So I'm going to cover 99% of what you would think of or wouldn't think of. Okay. So you got a 1%. What's that?
Nobody.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So I'm going to cover pretty much anything you would think of in that mastermind program. After that, right? Then, in one of the days, one of the modules I do about 12 countries. Okay, and I give you a lot of due diligence on those particular countries. And so after you've taken that, the next phase is you've said to yourself, okay, I'm interested. I'm very interested in looking at particular countries. Here's the next phase. What countries? Now I can tell you in my uh, website, there is a sign up area in there where I'm asking you ever invested internationally? You know anybody that ever did it? Any countries of interest to you? Any countries definitely you're not interested in? Your budget of consideration. You're filling that stuff out. So I know when you get into the mastermind, I already know what you're thinking. If you're thinking something, I know it. Okay, that allows me then, after you've taken the course, to come back to you and say, okay, are you still interested in the Caribbean after you've watched this? If you take it on my course, you're still interested in, South Korea? Because you might not be. I might have dissuaded you or, encouraged you. It just depends. Then when we sit down, then we do a due diligence master plan for the country of your interest. So basically, think of everything you learn in the mastermind. I take that content, I put it into one country for you, and we go from that point. That answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. That's why I created that second phase was because, it's one thing to take the course and you say, okay, Mike's got all this. I get it. I see all the information here. I'm interested in looking at a particular country. Now you got to go apply what I just taught you with that country. So I sit down with you and we do that together. So it's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Lisa, thank you, Fred.
Yes, I wanted some information. I'm buying property in Guyana, South America. So do you work in that in Guyana?
Lisa, weren't you on the last time we did this? You sound
No.
really familiar to me. That question's really familiar. Sure. I was curious because Peggy must have had another friend or somebody that was involved. To answer your question, I have not done that, but it's not something that I can't explore with you because I have relationships in the region. I just haven't bought anything there. I haven't pursued it at that level yet. But at least to tell you the truth, what you're going to experience is covered in the mastermind completely. It's just a different country. All the advice I give you, everything I'm telling you that you have to look for in the due diligence, that doesn't depend on a country. It's every country. So it would wake you up pretty clearly. These are the things you need to be thinking about, whomever you're talking to, over there. Just not just go find a realtor. Let me ask you though, what prompted Guyana? Was there relationships there or something?
Yes. There is, and plus it's right now it's one of the GPT their gross national product is high, and they just found a lot of oil. So I know Exxon is there, and they're needing a lot of foreign skills to build the country up.
Mm.
Okay, let me pause you for a second. Okay, I like the idea of you doing your due diligence like that, where you see there's a upside to maybe buying something there because you think there's going to be foreign growth there, because not just Exxon but other things. I like that you did that, and but I would direct your attention a little more narrower, because that's a little bit too broad for me. Okay, a little more narrower, and it would be more like, and this is what due diligence means, Lisa. I'm defining it for you right now. Okay, what it means is, when are those relationships or contracts going to be effectuated so that there will be a need for development to have housing, single family housing for people that might be moving there? When are those contracts going to be effectuated? How long is the development to get those people over there? Are they going to be more Americans, Europeans, South Africans? What are they going to be? What's the
Yes, there
strategy there?
is. It's
I can guarantee,
already it's
yeah,
already started.
yeah.
It's already
And so then,
started, and there's a lot of Americans there that is needing housing because of, especially those that are working in the oil industry. They are, that's where the need is, because they have found um, at least three different places in the country that is full of oil, and they've been drilling at least 5 years now. So it's been going on for a while.
Are they hiring local people to
you know,
work?
I,
Well, no, because
right.
the
No.
local people, well, they're hiring local and foreign, because the local people were not really interested because they didn't know that they had oil. So now that they know, they're going into the oil industry, but in the same way, Exxon is bringing in their people. So there are people coming in from Texas, there's a lot of people from Texas, a lot of people from different country that promotes a lot of oil, and where Exxon is.
Okay.
Okay, so Lisa, let me give you some cautionary tales, okay? Because sometimes you think there's an opportunity, but it is, because the risk on you is too high. You need to understand what those risks are. And the only way you can do that is to kind of know the economy and know the government and know what the intentions are for building new properties there. You have to touch and feel it. You
Which
do.
I
You need
did.
to have the right people around you that are helping you figure stuff out. You
Okay.
you did what?
I travel there
What
a
did you
lot.
do? I didn't. You said
I travel to Guyana a lot,
Mm.
and I've
did you pick an
researched.
area out there that you
There are several areas right
do you have
now.
somebody there that's working with you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Just be careful.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Be careful. You're welcome. And also, let's not forget that you have a currency exchange rate issue that comes
Hmm.
up. And let's
Yes.
also not forget these, okay, these are things that I teach. Okay, because there's still another big, gigantic elephant in the room. Let me tell you what it is. We are so used to structure in America for real estate engagement. We're so used to it that we think that the rest of the world thinks like us. And I can guarantee you they don't. For example, There's no escrows in most of Europe. There's zero escrows in South and Central America.
Right,
None.
there's none.
That's that's not how they do business. That should scare you because you then have to decide who's protecting Lisa's money. Uh, you need to get an answer to that question. Okay. And that's not something that's easily done. Okay. That takes skill sets and that takes the right people on the ground that are proven, not just talkers. What have they done before? Because your money, once it leaves you, it goes there. You're at risk. And then you get to the next phase of who's the rental entity there? What company? Who's managing this for you? Those are real issues. And how's your money being sent back to you? How? Because there's currency exchange issues. And in a country like Guyana, you have to worry about government policies on what they call Forex, right? They're foreign exchange laws. What are they? I don't know. I could research it with you, but I know what they are for most of Europe. Okay. Forex is going to be a huge issue to you. I mean, you put out the money, you get a great property, you get a great tenant, and nobody pays you. Now what? Okay. Or they do pay your agent and he can't send the money to you. Now what? Are you going to open up a bank account in Singapore? Are you going to keep it all in America? Are you going to open one in Guyana? Who's going to protect you there? There's no FDIC. That doesn't exist anywhere in the world. Okay, these are real issues. That's why what happens sometimes is people think something's a great opportunity, but they don't do the complete due diligence. They just don't. I think 99% of my clients don't do it. And then they lose money, or they're at risk. I'm not the person that says, oh yeah, that's a great opportunity, go put your money in it. I say it's a great opportunity, maybe, but I get all these questions and they got to get answered.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, sure. Good question. Thank you for that.
That was great. Wow, somebody's looking into investing internationally. How cool is that?
Hey, Peggy, this is David.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, as an investors, we're always curious when we travel abroad. And I did look at some properties when I was over in Thailand. Just curious kind of how things work and things like that. So, are you familiar with the laws and so forth in Thailand, Michael?
I am.
So what do you think? What do you think about Thailand?
Is there a particular what? I like it. I like it. I like Malaysia. I think, one thing I like about that particular part of the world is the governments are stable. Getting back to my policies, issue on government, they're pretty stable. And the rents are moderate. I mean, like the Philippines. I mean, they're moderate. They're not like, Singapore where it's one bedroom, $4,000. That's what it is. Malaysia, 1,200, 1,800, got a 2 3 bedroom, beautiful, brand new. That's nice. Okay, I like that whole concept. If I'm going to buy, David, and I'm going to be the investor, back to what I was saying, I think you probably heard me a few minutes ago. Why are you buying? Is this strictly an ROI conversation for you, or are you going to use it? To be honest with you, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, I'm going to use it and I'm going to rent it out both. It's never going to be just an ROI to me. I love the countries. I love what goes on over there. You're near everything. You're near so many other countries and stuff. So I like that concept. I like those countries. So I would say, with not knowing what your intentions are, how much money you want to spend or anything, I think you would have a pretty good ROI. I think you'd be pretty good with that. And I think you'd like being there. The people are really sweet. They're nice people. Most of them speak English and Thai and Malay, so you got a good combination. That's another issue we didn't talk about, Peggy, is, which is also part of my mastermind program, is the culture issue and the culture and language. They're gigantic because you got to be comfortable. You got to be able to ask somebody, where's the train station? Where's the supermarket? I mean, basic stuff. I always tell people, at least study somewhat. Like I've been studying some Portuguese this last week. Can I speak Portuguese? No. Can I ask you for the right menu? Yeah. Can I ask you where the train station is? Yeah. I mean, there's some maybe 10, 15 phrases you would learn. But I do think culture is super important. And that gets back to an issue on culture. And that's this: go where you can live your best life. If you're wanted in an area, you're going to live a much better life, right? If you're not wanted, like in Portugal and Spain and Italy, Madrid's got giant protests against tourists right now, big. And you watch this on TV, and I have friends in Madrid, and they're like, they're not happy. If they think you're American, they're not happy. Okay, so you're not wanted. Why would you? How are you gonna live your best life in an area you're not wanted? I mean, I try to explain this to people, but they think more like traveling like as a tourist. But no, if you're going to live there, or you're going to spend a lot of time there, this stuff matters. And in Malay and Malaysia and Thailand, you're good. People are sweet, and they want you there. They do. Philippines, they want you there. So that's just something to put in your back pocket and think about.
Yeah, Thailand too. There's such nice people. Fiji also. But I can tell you one place where Californians are not welcome, and that is Montana. They don't want to hear you're from California. Because like
Or
many
Idaho, or
things,
Wyoming.
the Californians
Yeah.
ruined the economy by overpaying for properties.
Yeah, I had a quick
Yep.
question. Yeah, I mean, I did some of the research when I was in Thailand. Recently, I was in Spain and Portugal looking at some properties with an agent over there and about the golden visa, and it was about the time when it expired. So I am Portuguese, so I can, look at my ancestry and so forth and probably try to do it that way as
Yeah.
well. Um, but
Yeah.
I think you mentioned Mexico. I looked at some property in Mexico as well. So did you say something about it's hard to do business in Mexico and as far as the government and so forth?
The cartel.
Yeah, I said the cartel is a problem, and it really is. I was just in Puerto Vallarta, about a month ago in Cabo, and it's not that you see them. Like I didn't see them, I could say that I recognize, but they're there. And when you see people getting beheaded, and you see people getting murdered at the beaches, those two Australian guys were surfing, at 6 months who got murdered at the beach. It's like over nothing. And then 2 weeks ago, someone got murdered in their car. That's real stuff. That really happens. And so it's not just Sonora. I mean, it's Cabo and it's other areas where you have to be on guard. And if I'm going to buy a piece of real estate, I can see the upside of buying it just for the ROI, but I don't think I would go there. I just don't. I mean, I think it'd be always worrisome to me. And the problem with the government there, David, is that they don't care. I mean, they can say they care. I mean, you think the immigration problem we have at our border is because they care? They don't care. Okay. And the cartel and the government, they're all in together. This is not news. Everybody knows this, right? So that's why the cartel can do whatever they want to do. And the problem is they don't just stick to one area. Now they just do kill where they want to kill, whatever, just to make a statement or just to get your money or your passport. It's really bad. I mean, we don't hear the half of it. If you talk to people that live in Mexico, they would tell you something different than what the news shows you here, and it's just bad to me. It's not everywhere. I mean,
No.
crime isn't everywhere, of course, but I would always say to somebody, the whole purpose of what we're talking here right now is for you to live your best life. That's what I tell you. It's like I try and help you get to you living your best life. Well, feeling secure is got to be at the top of that list.
Mhm.
Healthcare, top of that list, right? So I don't know if I feel secure in Mexico. They have pretty good healthcare. They have a lot of American hospitals and American doctors. We didn't talk about that today, but that's a big one. Also, is healthcare. So you kind of have to do your due diligence on what that means in other countries because they're
And
all different. The costs are all different,
and we should
And
talk
if you ever
about
had a
that next
problem, and
time.
I have,
We'll
Next
talk
time, for
about that
sure.
next time, Michael, because we are at the
Great.
top of the hour. But here's one thing I would like to say to leave us on a happy note is if you have a particular area you want to move, and I don't care where it is in the world, even if you're just going across town, talk to somebody you know that already lives there and ask them those questions that Michael just brought up.
Sure.
How secure do you feel? How comfortable are you? What's the health care, et cetera?
Yep, absolutely.
Michael, thanks so much for being here. We are so excited that you were here, what knowledge you have, and I'm so happy you sharing it. And we will send out your whatever they're called, your website, so people could sign up if they like. We'll send that out to
Sure.
everybody.
Sure.
All right.
Happy to do that. It's just so you know, it's buyinginternationalrealestate.com. Very easy.
Okay. Let me make sure I have that in the.
Buyinginternationalrealestate.com.
Do we have
Peggy, go ahead and
is
send
that one of them?
Peggy, go ahead and send me. Do you have that?
We have
Should
yeah,
have it. I gave it to Don.
international.com. That's right. We have that.
Buying International Real Estate.
Yep, that's your website.
.com.
I have that. I copied that. We'll make sure it goes
Yep,
out in the
that's
email
right.
that goes out to everybody. So thanks everybody
And
for
do that. And Peggy, send me this. Peggy, 1 second. Send me this tape, and I'll post it for you too.
okay.
I'll post it for you.
Okay.
So my people will see you.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very, very much. All
Sound
right.
good? You're welcome. It's good to see everybody.